going to be reviewing. So I had predictions for April, and I had a really good feeling this was the low. And what do you know? The market just went up and did not come back down. This is the ES, so that's the S&P 500. There's also the Nasdaq. Um, Oops, this was the old high, so I guess that's the high from October time. And now this is the low of 2026. I don't think we'll be seeing this again. 2026 low. So yes, if we look at what has happened this year, let's just only look at the anchor from the past year and then this year. So this is the Nasdaq, 100 tech companies in the US. Since the start of the year, we've been kind of selling, and then it kind of found support near the 2025 levels of tariff, and since then it's kind of just like rocket up without really coming back down. The RTY is the small caps, and the small caps old high was here. So compared to Nasdaq, this seems weaker now. Which is interesting. But on the Nasdaq, the move is really in the chip sector, which we will get to. But the small caps are a bit behind. Seems like there were one, two, like basically a whole week of, we didn't sell back down. We kind of just consolidated, profit take it, and then it skyrocketed again. And the YM is your large other, I don't know how to describe this, 26 low, and this was the old high. We have yet to reach the old high. So the Dow Jones is the weakest one. It's the 30 stocks. That's, I forgot what the exact thing was, but I'm going to be putting like the equal 50% of the ETF for each one here. So that's my plan. And this is the Japanese market. I also want to look at the Korea one. KOSPI? Composite? I don't have real-time data for this, so I don't like to put that there. But this is the Japanese market, and the Japanese market has 2020. No, let's label that as old high. So since the beginning of, this was around the Iran war, I kind of removed my Iran war items on it. Because now the only thing really, I don't think we really care about the war anymore. It's kind of old news, and now we are on a different mode in the market. And this is the oil. So the oil, I don't really trade oil, but I think it's very good to have this on here. Old high, and then this was the, let's just do this as the war. That's what it was. It's still up, holding above the 2026 year to date, and it's holding this, but right now the oil is behaving different. It used to be opposite, oil down, market up, and oil up, market down, but I think at some point the market stopped carrying, so that's no longer true. Both can be going up at the same time, because there's still an oil crisis to some point. Certain things, especially airlines, are affected, like Spirit Airlines just went out of business yesterday. And this is KOSPI, and Korean market is let's do old high. So the Korean market has Samsung, and they're kind of like how Taiwan is for the semiconductors. I kind of like to think of the Korean market, stock market overall, as an indicator of like the AI memory trade. So I like to watch it. This was the low that we came to. This is market as 2026 low, even though it's not the low. it's like the recent low. So let's just mark it as low. So if we compare this um, to actually the US stock market, we are much stronger on here. More specifically, if you look within the US tech sector, this was the software sector. It's still not at the high. It the software sectors this came down to Teraflow, which is actually why I was thinking the market maybe have bottomed, because it was close to where the tariff, it was below the 2025 anchor, and it was close to 2023 or like other year anchor. I don't actually have, yeah, it's below 2023 and it's around COVID low. So that's why I was thinking logically, if you think the market is gonna go up and this sector has been sold for like since basically September, then if the market is going to go up, it will have a chance of becoming a bigger move because now this would be potentially participating, assuming this is the low of the year. So technically the market should not pull back further, because if all different pieces of it are bought, then it should be going up. So in the software sector, this is like your Microsoft. All the software ones really have been selling because people are freaking out that AI is going to kind of make their service software not as special anymore. So you can see there's been a mass selling in there, and recently got bought, but it didn't even make, it's hovering around the 2026 year to date. Let's remove the previous years because I just want to focus on like the recent price action. So it's above the 2026 low and 2026 year to date. And then the ARK is Kathy's. I like to keep track of it because it has different things, mix of small caps, some crypto stuff, some finance stuff, really like wacky stuff that you normally don't accept. So it's very different. It has tech and like kind of like the weird out there tech as well. She has a mix of everything. So it's been also sold from October. You can see how it was sold. I wonder if this came to like COVID levels as well, because it was massively sold. Yes, so it came below 2025 and then around somewhere between those levels. And now it has actually gone above the year to date and the 2026 low, and it found support again here and bounced off. But typically I don't look at this that much. It's like if I want to see a side one, because this one has like the Teslas, the Rocket Labs, a lot of the crypto stuff is on here, and like the small caps that these don't hold. So this is a lot of the bigger tech. And then we have our chips, which have been the biggest movers because this is where the old high was. The AI trade is back on, basically old high, and it made a new low in the semiconductors, and the semiconductors have been the strongest sector. It didn't even come down to the 2025 low, which is the tariff low. It kind of just like semiconductors are still in play, and the memory trade are also part of it. And now there's just been, I think it went up like 40%, right? I think semiconductors went up 40% from this low, yeah, if I remember the number correctly. So it's a big increase in that sector, and this is the overall tech with some of the mags and like overall semiconductors included. So you can really see this was the old high. And we kind of just went up for the entire month without a really big pullback. 2026 low, and you can see this little tariff low as well. So I'm going to remove that anchor now. Actually, I'm going to keep at least the previous year. And this is the remix, which is the rare earth, so it seems like it also got picked up. And this is the equal weighted. So some of the big cap tech kind of covers a big sector of the market, like they're heavily weighted. This is the equal weighted S&P 500. which means it's like if you take one company is equal to like 1-to-1 ratio. In the other one, it's not equal. Some companies can be 10-15%, right? So the RSP, which is the average stock large cap, came down to your 2025 level and got bought. So that's also another reason why this was such a strong confluence, that yes, Trump was toggling, but also it was near a level where it would have been a really good time to buy for long-term investors. So, and then the finance sector had been a dumpster fire and was selling since basically here. And it has not come up there. So as you can see, this is really just like a really big tech rally. The finance sector had been sold, and it's also kind of down because Bitcoin was down. And Bitcoin has yet to recover from the highs of 120. This is the all-time high, and you can kind of think of this as like the 2026 high. It's nowhere close. It slowly has called up above the 2026 anchor, and it's also held above the 2026 year-to-date anchor. So that's actually a good sign for Bitcoin if it holds and doesn't completely flush down. I don't really trade this, but sometimes it's good to keep track of what's happening, because it's an indicator of basically risk on, risk off in the market. And then the UFOs are your space sector. I was expecting this to go up more, but I guess there's been a bit of a rotation. It did go up above the old high from when the war was, so it's still strong. It went to the old high. It looks like it came back to the old high, so which would have been a really good area to buy if you were looking to buy it, invest in before SpaceX comes out. And it looks like it had a strong push here and then a little bit of sell, so it sold for basically almost 2 weeks, and now it's getting bought. So maybe rotation, not sure. It's not looking as strong as before, but I think since SpaceX is supposed to be IPOing in June, I would expect this sector to have some more buying. And this is the healthcare sector. It's been sold since here. So healthcare is kind of part of the Dow Jones, so it could be why it's not recovered yet, because this entire sector has not recovered yet. Okay, so this is the low. It looks like it's in maybe the process of forming another low and then go up. If it stays above the 2025 anchor, maybe it will go up to here. But it seems like it came to the 2026 low, then found some selling there. And the energy is more like oil driven since the war, and since January it's kind of gone up. It seems like it's still a thing. It came down to year-to-date average price, and people bought oil again because even though the headlines have maybe toned down a bit and the market has stopped caring, it's still a issue for a lot of countries, especially. So that is that. Let's look at the stocks. So those are the overall market, and within the market, let's look at the semiconductors actually. So this is not a semiconductor, but it's in the networking hardware stuff that seems to be getting bought, and this one was doing well. Intel has been some of like the biggest one, because now the AI narrative and like the trend has been that the new thing is supposed to be CPU constrained from GPU, and now Intel is seeing a big push, and everyone was hating on Intel when it was here, and like government backed it up, and now it's like probably one of the better performing semiconductors. Like that's Intel and this is Nvidia. Nvidia has yet, it barely broke the old high before this sell-off of the markets. This was old high for Nvidia, and it's seen a massive sell. It's honestly one of the weakest semiconductors, so there's a lot of rotation out of Nvidia. Although it did get bought from the tariff flow, like I don't know if this will go up as strongly, because you look at Nvidia and you look at the market that Nvidia is in, it's so behind, no one's buying it. Like look at Marvell. This was the one I have the marking here. I was like, this is where you want to buy. It looked so strong during this whole chaos of the war selling. It was being bought, and now what do you know? It has, if you had bought it here, you would have basically doubled your money right now. Almost basically. And I still don't think it's done going up. It might see a pullback to maybe like around this level or some profit taking, and then I expect it to go up again because it's in the photonics theme, and like now they're getting partnerships and stuff, and Marvell seems to be benefiting from it because it's in the in that field of like AI constraint, and it's doing so well, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to do well, because for the longest time it was kind of behind, and now it's seeing like a really strong thing. Same with AMD. It came up here, I was looking to buy it, but then it just sells because I do it really when the news stuff. But I could tell, like compared to the rest of the market, like because of what news and what stuff was there, I could tell when the market was going to go up. This was probably a really good chance of going up much higher because it was relatively strong compared to the rest of the other stocks and in the sector. So AMD was one of the earlier, and now it's up this much, so it's definitely outperforming. Also, AMD benefits from the so Nvidia is more of GPU. I don't know other stuff about it, but AMD also has CPUs. So Intel and AMD are like the I guess new favorites, it seems like, in this sector, along with Marvel. AVGO is just at old high, so not as heavy selling as Nvidia. Like Nvidia is just like, look at this entire sector and tell me that Nvidia is strong. It does not look strong. So I'm not sure. Cisco has been doing okay. I'm not really sure. I think it's part of like the networking hardware thing. But yeah, and then recently I saw Qualcomm in the news and had a big day, and there's always a lot of selling, but I think people have high expectations of this because they say that I saw news that there was something about, okay, they're buying back 20 billion along with the fact that they might have like some positive potential revenue shift into certain things that the market really cares about. I forgot the exact headline, but that's where what news it came up in, and I think maybe there will be some rotation into this if it continues to look strong. So as you can see, like Nvidia is really not the superstar anymore. Like look at this mass selling. People are like, this stock has gone nowhere since October, and now it finally is at all-time high. Let's sell and put money somewhere else where it's actually moving. Look at Intel since September. Intel has gone from a $28 stock to like this much. Meanwhile, if you were invested in Nvidia, you're literally missed out on that entire move. Plus, if your money was stuck there, you missed out on, guess what? The entire sector moved because your stock wasn't moving. Like the entire sector has gone up without you. So that's semiconductors. The other theme was photonics. They're still doing well. It's the AI trade with the photonics, and what was the other one? The memory. So I think Micron is also part of semiconductors, but it's more in the memory constraint, I group it with that. So these are the stuff, and then the semiconductor, not semiconductors, the IGV. These are the software stocks. They are looking very weak. It's still not really holding like how you would want. Looks like Adobe is getting some buying. Microsoft looks like one of the stronger ones actually. Maybe it's done selling. It was sold massively from 550 to 350 basically. And Google has been like, it was the leader in the Mac 7 and it continues to be the leader. I think they're investing and doing partnership with, I think, Anthropic. So Google has lots of things going for it because they invested in Anthropic. They have investment in SpaceX as well, and their AI is doing really well. So it's one of the leaders in Mac 7. Netflix, I don't really know. It looks like it went up to the tariff volume weighted average price, and then it sold off. They're doing some billion buyback with the company buyback. Tesla, I'm not really sure. Don't follow because Elon Musk and Trump have on and off relationship, and that stock kind of moves along with it. Also, Tesla's earnings and stuff, I think it was better than expected. Like, because Tesla doesn't sell as much as they should compared to other companies, and the it's basically holding up because of brand name association with Elon Musk. So until that changes, I don't know if it could go on a run. Who knows? I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar. But out of Mac 7, Amazon and Google are the ones I've seen very strong one about. Amazon, I don't know much details about what they're doing, but I think they're getting into more of the AI thing. And Google has been like a solid one. Meta, very weak. It's like below this. Spotify, same. BE had good earnings, so it continues to make new high. Went up so much. Holy crap. And then Iron, Oklo, they had some nuclear news with the energy stuff, so it's it popped up from here. And then people got out, it seems like. I don't know if you'll finally have a... It was massively sold since October. So maybe you'll finally change that. This is the space ones. I took out the other stocks because it was very weak as a sector, but there's also this in the sector. I don't really know very much about ASTS. I just know this one can be seen as proxy for SpaceX. And then Rocket Lab is supposed to be one of the better leaders in this sector. I am not as familiar, but I think most people say Rocket Lab is the investment thing you want to invest in for stocks, for space. And of course SpaceX probably once it comes out, but I just look at the leader ones because I don't really familiar, I just keep tab of it. And then crypto has been on and off, but looks like Stalker stablecoin came up, sold, and then it's buying off there again. So maybe I don't know, this is very on and off depending on the bill passing, yes, no, what's happening with that policy changes, I'm not really sure. MSTR is Bitcoin proxy, basically leverage, and this is Bitcoin. This is also moving off of Bitcoin because it's a crypto platform. Robinhood kind of also from crypto, but their earnings was bad. It sold off, got bought up to the 2025 average price, and it tanked. So I don't know. This seems crypto minus 50%. No one's trading crypto anymore. RIP. It's because it hasn't gone anywhere, so people are not trading it. So the rare earths seem to have made a comeback. USAR, Pentagon needing rare earths, found supplier Malaysia. It seems to be an on and off topic depending on geopolitical issues, this specific sector, but it's something that the government will always need long term for like technology and weapons and all these, I don't know, everything needs materials, raw materials, especially rare earths that's used in technology. So MP is one of them. I would say it's more of like the government endorsed one because the US government did invest in 10% or something percent equity in this, and then Apple also made a partnership investment into this. So So that would be something to watch, but these are the other ones you could look at. And then just the healthcare, I don't really know much about the healthcare, but I just know the big players are these two and then potentially this. But the entire healthcare sector has been not doing well. Looks like UNH is doing very well. And Lilly has made a comeback from here to there. Exactly from here, 2025 to 2026 year to date. So if the healthcare sector starts to get rotation back into it, these two will probably go higher because look at this. The sector is still like there, but these stocks did make it to this level. So that's relative strength in buying. And that's kind of like where the stocks are. Honestly, I don't really have things I would buy from May yet because everything I would have probably wanted to buy kind of went up already. So the only thing you could really do is wait to see if and then during this whole time this entire sector was not bought, so I don't know if I would feel as comfortable buying it, but I think maybe potentially Microsoft could be one that people could look for. It seems to be more strong, but the entire software, like look at this, the semiconductors have, or like the hardware related stuff has moved who knows where. Like even the weakest in it, Nvidia, got bought massively, right? Went from 64 to 126, and people took a bunch of profit at old high. It could still continue to go up if this holds, but it's probably because they were stuck here for so long, so people are probably like, all right, we're getting out of this and putting money somewhere else where it's actually moving. Like Marvel, look at it, it doubled, right? Meanwhile, Nvidia investors, it only just went up this much. Partners with Lillian, 1 billion. Cool. But yeah, look at this. The AI thing is still around, and that's what's going on. I think the really, really strong stocks in semiconductors that will potentially probably keep going up is Intel, AMD, and Marvell. I don't know about the other ones that much, but also these ones are the hyperscalers are finally like holding up. Potentially, maybe CoreWeave was ready to make a run, who knows, but it struggled for a really long time since IPO. Like it just had a lot of like selling and I think debt issues or something, and it just sold, but now it's like holding. So if it holds above here, maybe it will be ready to like go up finally, who knows. But these two are like the most watched for the hyperscalers because Nvidia invested a lot in CoreWeave, and then NVIS also has a lot of partnership with big tech companies. So yeah, and then I have Apple in marking because they just had earnings, spiked, and then it completely sold. Yeah. And then I just have these in watch for potential, but I'm not very sure. But this one would be interesting to watch because what if after all this time Qualcomm seems a rotation back into stuff. So this was 20. Oh wow, it's been around for a really long time. Oh, in the dot-com bubble it was around, and it dropped from $98 to $13 during dot-com bubble. Interesting. In a span of basically half a year, it cut down that much. And since then, it's been struggling. It went up in post-COVID time, and it dropped back to 100. 2023, it went up to this 2024, and it sold. I think sometimes these chips go in and out of the thing, but it seems like now it's getting massively bought. So the real question is, will Qualcomm finally have its like move where it breaks out to like $300 or like higher, like a rest of the chip sectors, right? Like look at Intel, it was struggling, and then the government investment, and then now the things shifted. Look at this massive candle. And AMD too, like it was going up, down, up, and then now it exploded. So this is AVGO, Marvell, right, it went up, down. 2023 went up again, and then went down, and then went up again. And then Nvidia, could be potentially maybe some selling of Nvidia, and then maybe it could go up. I don't know. It did go on a massive run since 2023. So when things run, it seems like it. This was probably when the AI bottleneck was chips, Nvidia was the thing, and it went up on the massive run. This is not accounting for the stock split price. So Marvell could have more things to run up. So could AMD and Intel. Like, look at this. This is definitely a huge push in price. And SanDisk, we don't even need to talk about it. Like, look at this. Continues. And then all these AI stuff have gone up so much. Okay, yeah. I don't have other things that I'm looking at right now. This is kind of it. So there is not much to opportunity right now because the market did go up so much. Maybe if the semis come back down and like maybe this next week there will be more opportunities, or we'll see. The only thing I'm watching is Qualcomm, and to see if any of the other tech sectors seems to have a big push, or the space sector will come back, but we don't know yet. So take what you will with this. This is, I guess, the monthly wrap up analysis of the stocks.